Hello and welcome to TBC number 5, The Board Crew. I'm your host Ben.
I'm Bronson.
And I'm Tony.
That's right, we've leveled up. There's 3 of us. Free player mode.
Wow, finally.
Well, to celebrate having 3 of us, we're going to do something completely different and talk about 3 different games. Actually, no, we do that almost all the time. But that's okay. We're talking about Seven Wonders Architects.
Mysterium.
And Overboss.
So, let's get into it. Alright, so game number 1 that we're talking about is Seven Wonders Architects. This is by Antoine Bowser. I think I got that right, only because I've heard other people say it.
That's probably the best I've heard you say a name.
Yeah. So far we're going great. So this is for 2 to 7 players, although I would say 3 to 7 players. And it's a follow-up / sequel to a hit game, Seven Wonders. People may or may not have played Seven Wonders. If you have or haven't, doesn't really matter too much. Seven Wonders Architects takes Seven Wonders and distills it right down to the very essence of what Seven Wonders is, I think.
Yeah, nice.
So what you're going to do is get you and a bunch of friends around the table. Everyone chooses their own civilization, and you're going to be building one of the great 7 wonders of the world. Although every time I look this up, it seems like no one can agree on what those 7 ancient wonders actually are. But 7 Wonders Architects say we've got it. So.
Yeah.
Say it, then it must be true. Like,
If it's in a board game, that's better than Wikipedia, right?
Never mind all the expansion.
Architects solves that by not having any expansions.
Hey, nice.
So,
yeah.
They just have a new game.
The other 7 wonders.
And so everyone's going to get their own player kind of pieces that build your wonder. You start that all off on the construction side, and you're going to get your own deck, but instead of being your deck, you're going to place that next to your neighbour, probably to the right, and everyone places their deck to the right. When it's your turn, you get to choose whether you take from the deck that was yours, or the deck that's now to your left, put there by your neighbour, or a common deck in the middle. So your turn's really basic, actually. You just draw a card from one of those 3 decks, and depending on what card you get, will determine what you get to do. A lot of the cards are resources that you'll use to try and build your wonder. You're generally looking at trying to get different kinds of resources or a combination of the same kind of resources to build the next level of your wonder. Sometimes you can get military. That's great because as more and more people get military, some of them have little horns on them, people start getting antsy. We're going to go to war once the horns have been done.
Yeah.
This game has an interesting rule where if you pick up a horn, you've got to go doo-doo-doo.
I love little mechanics like that. It's like, hey, just a little bit of player interaction for a little role playing.
Yeah.
So the first time I played Architects was online, and I could see in the group chat people doing the and I just had no idea what was going on. So that's good to know.
Yeah, it doesn't really carry as well on chat, I must admit, but you know. The other thing is you can get blue cards, they're just straight points, but some of the blue cards have a cat on them. There's a cat piece that moves around that will allow you a special power that I'll get to in a minute. But when you take the cat, you have to meow. So,
you have to do what? Meow?
Meow. So, there are green cards, which are sciences. They give you special powers. And then finally there are gold cards, which are wild resources, allow you to build in lots of different resources. The cat power allows you to look at the middle card because it's face down, all the other decks are face up. And so if you have the cat on your turn, you can actually look at what the top card is before choosing which of your 3 cards to pick up. It's a really easy game. You just keep going until someone's built their wonder, and then the game ends immediately. Count up your points, which are in reefs. This is such a great gateway game, I think, because you can teach it, like I've basically taught you the game now.
Yeah.
And you can play it. It plays up to 7. It doesn't take much longer with 7 players as it does to 2 players. Everyone's turns come around really snappy because you just draw a card, put down the card in your tableau. There's a bit of player interaction with the war and the stealing the cat and trying to race to build the wonders. I reckon it's a really great re-implementation of 7 Wonders. When I heard stripped down 7 Wonders, I was like, why? 7 Wonders is a fairly basic game, so not too hard to do, but 7 Wonders Architects actually takes it right down to a gateway game that can be done in 25 minutes, and I've played this with my in-laws, and they loved it.
You could almost call it a filler game if you knew the rules well enough.
Yeah, look, I mean, you're probably looking at half an hour
Yeah.
to play. So for me, that stretches the time limit of fill a game.
Mm.
But this is 100% the kind of game that I would put in if people have never played a board game before. I'd be really happy to explain the rules to Seven Wonders Architects and know that they both knew how they could take their turn and that they'd feel competitive actually playing, which is rare. And that I'll enjoy. Because I can do a really easy game that is just boring. The pieces are also really nice too, because everyone gets their own little plastic sort of container with everything in it. So setup is super easy. You just go, all you have to do is take one of these containers and then you have everything that you need.
So everyone takes their turns individually? Because I was wondering there as you were explaining, like if you got 2 cards on each side, what if 2 people go for the same card?
No, so you just go round and round and round.
Yeah.
But because your whole turn is take a card, put it down, that really doesn't take very long. So even with 7 people, you've just got to wait for 6 other people to choose a card.
And everyone can think about the next move as well, which you couldn't do in Seven Wonders as well as you can do in Architects.
Yeah.
Like you're always getting, you're getting this fresh hand that's moving, and also you're only really interacting with the person to the left of you or to the right of you. Whereas in Architects, you've got that community resource deck to choose from, and also everyone else is having their turn while you're looking at what's available. It does make it go much faster.
Yeah, 100%. And also that war tracker just moving along can go significantly faster. I mean, you're only going to fight your left and right neighbours, but it's probably not your left and right neighbours that are moving that war tracker up. And so you might both be completely unprepared. I mean, the nice thing is you lose the fight, you don't lose anything. It's just if you win the fight, you get something. So it's another example of the fact that the game is designed to welcome new players, I think. It's not a punishing game. There is, I think, some good tactical choices to make, but basically, you doing well doesn't impact someone else's fun.
And the artwork looks really nice on the box and everything, so yeah, that's definitely going to easily be more catching for a newcomer. Like, oh, look at this pretty thing as well, while you interact with it. Look, it's nice, it's fun, get into the gaming world.
Yeah, it's a great look. Looks great on the table. People's Wonders actually look really nice as they build them, going from scaffolding to actual sort of the wonder itself. It's all just nice little touches that come all together.
I remember with Seven Wonders, the Wonder boards all had unique playstyles. Fairly balanced, but they also reflected the Wonder itself. Like Giza's more complex side had 4 Wonder stages to build, which reflected the pyramids, whereas Rhodes only had 2, but had military points with it as well. Does that then get reflected in Architects as well? Like, do different Wonders build differently, or is it all the same?
There is some player asymmetry. So the deck that you have will have a different mix of it. So if you're playing Rhodes, who are in Architects, your deck has more military in it. Now you're sharing that with your neighbour, which means your neighbour also gets more military, but it means the other neighbour on the other side might be screwed because you can militarise up a little bit better. Whereas Babylon has more science in its deck, and so you can get these science things. The other thing is, as you build the Wonders, various Wonders will have special abilities when you build a certain level of that Wonder. So the special abilities of the Wonders and the civilizations are much less asymmetric than they were in Seven Wonders. So they're much less asymmetric in Architects. It's a much less big deal. But I think, again, that's going into the gateway nature of it. That, your special ability might be you can look at 2 cards now and choose one of them, or you can take a card from anywhere on the entire map, sort of thing. Or maybe you get a science token, or maybe you've got an extra military now to play with, etc. So they work quite well, but you're only going to activate those special abilities once, maybe twice in the game. I think 3 times for the lower power sort of ones. So even if you thought that ability was amazing, it's not really going to swing the game that much, because you're only going to get it when you build that stage of the Wonder, and only once.
For a lot of people, they would have played Seven Wonders before Architects. Have you had a situation where someone's played Architects first and then they've gone to Seven Wonders?
I have not taught anyone Seven Wonders since getting Architects. So I'll play Seven Wonders. I quite like it. but the scoring is a nightmare to teach.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that there are apps now
Yeah.
that let you scan your board, like you take a photo and it works out your score because the scoring is that mathematical and painful,
Oh,
even with a
Jesus.
score pad. All these squares and adding up things and like this times this and then, square that number if you've got these, etc. Just like that can be really painful for new players. They can get to the end of the game and realise that someone else had 213 and they got 13. It's a bit crushing.
That actually happened to me early on in my board game career. I was playing on BGG. No,
Yep.
BGA. Thank you.
BGA,
BGA. And I had no idea. I was like, it's like, play 7 Wonders. I'm like, alright, I'll play 7 Wonders. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, cool, alright. So, and then it's like, people putting stuff in the chat like, why don't you do that? I'm like, I don't know. It's my first game ever. You can tell by my points.
Yeah.
I then got to the end of it. It's like I got 20 points, and people got like
Oh.
250 or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, you didn't help me out or anything." I'm like, "Sorry," because I kind of got
Oh.
turned off the game, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be pretty
I don't
brutal.
want to touch this again."
Ripe for grief. that
Yeah.
game, Just
Yeah. If everyone knows what they're doing, Seven Wonders is great, but it requires people to be about the same skill level because it's your duty to make sure someone else doesn't run away with it. That's kind of solved in Seven Wonders Architects because all the cards are good and there's no sort of runaway strategy. Like if in Seven Wonders, especially if you went hard on science and no one else did, you were going to romp it.
Right.
Or if you just got all the buildings because they cascaded and sort of built up. In Architects, nothing snowballs. Now that might be a disadvantage. If you love engine building, and normally I do, that's a bit of a letdown because your Civ is kind of only... It barely gets better.
I like it when I get to build my engine.
Yeah.
But I don't like when I don't and someone else does.
yeah, I don't like watching other people's engines. I like mine.
Yeah.
It's my turn. I will do this. It's their turn. I'm going to do this, which makes that happen, and then this happens, and that happens.
Oh.
How did you do that?
Yeah, so in Architects, the best thing you might do is you get to draw another card with some of the sciencey abilities and so on. But people will be able to see which cards you can draw to do that, and they will stop you from being able to get those.
Yeah.
So, yeah, look, I really like Seven Wonders Architects. I think it would be close to one of my favourite gateway games to teach now.
Wow. Yeah.
If I've got more than 4 players, it's Seven Wonders Architects for teaching. If we're going to play like a game rather than a party game or something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah. Nice.
7 Wonders Architects.
I love it.
All right. Well, next I'm going to be talking about a game called Mysterium by
Spooky.
Yes. Ooh. It's a spiritual successor, pun intended, of Cluedo and Dixit mainly. It's by Alexander Nevsky and Oleg Sidorenko, and it is a fun game where you have one player who plays as a ghost, who is someone who's been murdered. So lovely, family-friendly fun.
Doesn't sound fun for that player.
Yeah,
so
no,
far.
I mean it can be rather interesting. And one player is the ghost who's been murdered in a house at a party, and everyone else plays as mediums who comes in on All Hallows Eve to try and talk with the spirit to figure out what happened, where the murder happened, what was used and who did it. So if anyone's played Cluedo, you kind of get the premise there. But you use these special cards, which is dreams that the psychics have to try and interpret, look, it's this one. So you might be pointing towards, it's the race card, like you have different rows of sections. You have the people, the weapons, and the locations. And so if everyone's on the people, there might be the race car driver is the killer. And so you then give someone the card and it might have pictures of cars on it. But because it's an abstract art, it's also got clouds on it, and they go, oh, clouds. And you're like, no! And as the ghost, you can't talk. So you're just sitting there, staring at this person, thinking, look at the race cars on that card. And they're like, wow, the clouds, yeah, I think it goes with this. And then all the psychics have these special tokens they put on, and at the end of the round, the ghost communicates by knocking under the table to confirm whether they were correct or they weren't correct. So you get 1 knock or 2 knocks, and everyone's just sitting there waiting to see what you're going to do. And then it's like, silence, 1 knock, yeah, everyone's happy, yeah, we figured it out. Or Tunok's like, oh, god damn, like, okay, gotta have another dream. And you've only got 7 rounds to do it in. So if you don't make it, the ghost then just, it's left to haunt the mansion for the rest of eternity because all the psychics pack up and go home. And that's, yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you've been a much luckier ghost than I've ever been. Because, like, if I was trying to get people to get the race car, I would probably be looking at a card going, that sort of looks like a wheel. I really hope they get a wheel from this well that I'm putting down because it's circular.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to give you. And it's got a red bug in the background and he's driving a red car.
It's amazing to try and figure out. Like, I played with my family and I'm like, they'll get this. They're my family. I grew up with them. I understand how they think. And when I handed that card to my mum, like, she's going to get this flower for that. And she looked at it and went, oh, the knives on here seem to make sense. And I'm like, the flower's the big thing! And I'm just like quiet, just looking. And then luckily we were playing the basic rules where you actually have these crows that you can use, which is like redo of your cards. No, these aren't good. Change them, give it to other people. Give as many cards as not as you want. It's a fun game. It's, if you like that whole, not one versus everyone else, but like, being a like game master almost, and trying to interpret and help with people, it's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's a cooperative game. Highly recommend it. But it is stressful. You are sitting there just having all these emotions inside that you need to show nothing on because everyone's like sometimes like, oh, I think it's this one, and they look up at you as the ghost, and you're just deadpan and inside going, it's not that one. Don't pick that one. They're like, I'm gonna put 3 tokens on it to show how much I believe in it. You're like, you're believing so wrong, don't do it!
No, I mean, to be fair, they do give you a big shield.
They do.
Which is, I find that very useful to hide behind as I'm trying not to laugh as people go, oh, well, clearly you're talking about the cook because, you know, there's food on this bit. I'm like, no, look at the deer behind it. It's the hunter.
Yeah, it's almost deliberately telling you off.
That must be how ghosts feel.
Yeah, I guess so.
Next time I see a ghost, I'll just feel sorry for them.
Yeah, next time I'm in the house, like, please communicate with me, and they drop a book, I'm not going to go, it's immediately the title of the book, it's something else. Not that I've ever had that happen, I don't know. If you have, you know, leave a comment or something below if that has happened to you, because I want to know that story, that sounds scary as hell.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'd be more worried if you hear 2 books drop.
Oh yeah. Which is the clue.
The ghost is trying to tell you both. One of the things I do love about Mysterium is that all the other players, the investigators, are all helping each other as well. Because they know they can't be the same answer. And so, you know, like if Bronson and I both got cards, I'm like, mine kind of looks like a race car driver, and Bronson's like, I think mine is. We know one of us at least is wrong. We're probably both wrong.
Yeah.
And so we can kind of work with each other and go, okay, well, I think actually yours could be this, or etc. So there is like the rest of the table kind of helping each other get along.
Which is something I forgot to say. Yeah, the ghost is very forgetful because I guess it's been a while, and so each investigator is like getting a different person, weapon, and location. But then they have a seance at the end for the true answer. It's like all of a sudden the ghost goes, oh yeah, it was that one, the one that you were looking at. I just kind of thought it might have been this man or this woman for some reason. I don't know. It's like,
I've got to admit that's the bit in Mysterium where the theme just falls falls apart.
Sort of.
But up until that point, it works really well. And most people just get into the ghosty thing and they're not... If you make it to that final round where you're doing the final seance, you just kind of go, okay, well now we're going to pick one of these to be the real murder. And people look at you a bit weird. But until that point, everyone's just like, oh, well I must have an individual ghost talking to me. And this person's just playing all 7 of them.
Strange. That is kind of where it does fall apart because, you don't have to pick as the ghost behind your player screen. You have like what each person's going for, but then you don't choose who the actual killer is. You don't put these into the envelope and go, that's the one. It's like you go, I'm going to think it's this one at the end of the game. It's like, oh, okay. It was a bit like, why don't you pick that first? Or either way.
Yeah, it is.
You play how you want to play it. Like I wanted my family to have a good shot at the seance, so we went like more rounds than needed. But then because I did that, it kind of felt like it cheapened it because they're like, oh, well, Oh, okay, so we're going for an 8th round. Okay, no worries.
I mean, the clock has more rounds than...
It does.
So I think they've already built in that, like, maybe you can't
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah, it's almost like they went to say, like, here's an easy mode if you want it, but didn't put it in the rule book. And, yeah, we'll let people house rule this if they want to. That was probably the only downfall I found with it.
Yeah. Now, if you have played Dixit before, the art is very similar in Mysterium, but maybe a little bit more macabre, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
It's just, things are a bit more somber, a little bit more ghost-like and creepy.
Yeah, we're talking, All Hallows Eve, man. We can't be all rainbows and butterflies. No, we've got to be knights in hourglasses dripping through sand.
It's not quite the like H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu.
No, we're not.
It's not scary. It's more you feel like maybe you're on the set of a Tim Burton movie.
Ah, cool.
Oh, that is a great way to explain the artwork.
It's a little creepy, but it's not jump scare horror of anything.
Yeah.
It does work quite well. I've played this with kids as well, and if they're old enough to kind of deal with the theme of a murder, then they'll be able to handle the artwork without any real problems.
If you love being theatrical as well, and you're the ghost, get a little soundboard, and then when it gets in the round, make sure you've got like that grandfather clock chime bell for the turning of time. It just adds that extra flavour to the game.
Try that next time. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm
now there is an
theatrics.
expansion to Mysterium as well, which adds more cards. I haven't bothered.
Me neither.
Dixit, I get all the expansions because I love new artwork. I guess that's one thing that I would say about Mysterium. Even though the artwork is very good and there's lots of it, none of it really sort of stands out compared to the others. Like in Dixit, I'd be like, oh, I love that card every time it comes up. There's not many in Mysterium that I look and I go, oh wow, that card, it evokes so much. And I don't know whether you feel the same. They are big, beautiful cards, and it's well done artwork. So don't hear me saying it's bad artwork.
Yeah.
It's just it's less memorable.
You heard it here first.
Ben thinks Mysterium artwork is crap.
Yeah. That's going to be on tomorrow's newspaper.
Yeah. Shunned from all board game events.
Artists just randomly walk up and punch me.
And then the Dixit guys are like, here's the next expansion for free. So, no, we're not taking sides here. That's not what we're about. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah, the artwork isn't as, I guess, vibrant or anything. Like, it is a bit more, maybe not washed out, but it is meant to be that darker thing, so it's a bit more muted in its like design. It's like, it's a big rat and a small piece of cheese.
Yeah, whereas
like
in
something
Dixit,
like the Dixit, there's like the
it would be a
Arabian
rat
Night
in
one,
a
like, that's awesome.
flying machine, bombing flowers onto penguins or something, because, Dixit feels like the
Dixit
high
feels
of the
like
trip.
they were experimenting with some stuff and went, let's make this a game.
And they had all the colours at their disposal.
Well, hey, to be fair, it's hard enough to get people to look at a race car and not a cloud, so maybe
very
it's
true.
okay that it's a little contained.
Yeah.
Very
Look,
true,
I
very
think
true.
Mysterium would be harder because even the characters and the places and the weapons all have that macabre sort of look to them as well, which makes it slightly harder because it's not like this room is really obviously a lounge room. There are differences between the rooms, but if you said, like, what is this room to people, they would probably struggle. And even the murderers or potential suspects, some of them, you're kind of like, is this guy a race car driver? Is he just a vintage car enthusiast? Is that a cook, or is she a nanny? Or so I think it's like that's part of the strength, the ambiguity of lots of the things.
Yeah, well, I guess that leans into the whole the ghost is forgetful and unsure. Like, it almost shows like the passage of time, like having fuzzy memory. Like, I think they were a cook, or I think they were a nanny. So
Death will do that to you.
Yeah,
I just remember them hitting me over the head with a chest.
Yes, somehow. Oh, would you like a tea, sweetie? Bang!
But hey, look, it's important to
in the bathroom for some reason.
You've got to suspend your disbelief sometimes.
It's all part of the fun.
Yeah.
And don't believe the box. It is. I don't know how they came up with 42 minutes as a time.
Oh, because you're supposed to time each round.
Yes, I know that, but it's like the time of like the ghost choosing cards. I don't know if that's taken into account. It's like
no, because the timer doesn't start until you
hand
given
the cards
every
out.
card out. So you want to be a fast ghost.
Yeah.
Which I don't think I've ever seen.
No.
That's probably one thing we should mention. Some people are really bad at playing the Ghost with this because they either freeze up
Yeah.
or they just get AP giving out the cards. If you've got a player that is going to take a really long time to give out clues as the Ghost because they just agonise over which cards to give, the rest of the table... Yeah, well, the rest of the table has nothing to do while that happens. It's a bit like maybe if you play Codenames,
Oh, yeah.
and the clue giver needs to give clues before the rest of the table can have fun.
Yeah.
And the longer that builds, the worse it gets for that player.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love playing
guess you can
Mysterium,
sort
but
of
you
be
do
looking
need to
over
be
the
careful about
cards,
who the
though.
Ghost is.
Yeah. If they've already got a couple of rounds of cards and a few people have like advanced, then they can sort of be looking at the cards and go, oh, okay, maybe it's this person. Like, sort of have that. You've got that little bit of time as the Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say don't give it a go, but it's not the be all or end all if you make it or not. Like, it's,
No,
it's
100%.
Yeah.
You can always go again. It's a game.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of that, like, go for another round. Like, how would you like play a round and then go again? Is it the kind of game you play once and then you go on to the next one?
I don't think I've played a game of Mysterium that's been under an hour, so
Yeah.
it feels like it's the full game, and you're probably not going to go round 2 straight away.
Yeah, it's a one and done for the evening, but one that I'll happily play every couple of weeks or so. Especially if with the same sort of people, you start getting that sort of flow and like cool. Let's see how we go. But then you probably have to start getting the expansions to throw new cards in there.
Yeah.
Maybe. There is a lot of cards in that.
There is a hell of a lot of cards.
It probably says somewhere in that box about how many cards
There is 84 vision cards for the Ghost.
There you go. It's heaps.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, either way.
But hey, for a little bit of metagaming, if you're ever playing a game of Mysterium with Tony, it's always the race car.
Yeah, go for the red card.
Just pay attention to that race car, please.
It's great. Well, that was Mysterium.
I'm going to round it off today with a game I'm very fond of, or a company I'm very fond of, Brotherwise Games. Overboss. Overboss, a boss monster adventure, as it says in the name, is a successor to Boss Monster, which was one of the first Kickstarter board game campaigns that I chipped into, and I'm glad it delivered. I was a little bit like, I don't know about this, but yeah. So if you're familiar with Boss Monster, it follows a NES old chiptune kind of aesthetic.
Is that the one where it almost shows Mario on the front? I'm now starting to picture the box.
It is a plumber.
In
Not Mario.
white.
He may
throwing
be
a
an
fireball.
Italian plumber, but
It's a me, Wario.
No.
Come at us, Nintendo.
It's me, Marcus.
But what was great about Boss Monster, it really leaned into that. Like, they've got, a whole bunch of character titles with very adjacent, like, Aldi versions of familiar faces. Yeah.
TBC is not affiliated with Audi.
But looking for sponsors. So Overboss came out in 2021. It's designed by Aaron Mesbin and Kevin Russ, who after this game went on to make Verdant and Calico. Which are,
right.
I would not have picked that.
Yeah, well, even though the aesthetics to Overboss and the Boss Monster franchise and expanded universe are very set, and those two games really don't go into that. The mechanics to this game are definitely in both of those. So in Overboss, you are taking the role of a big boss, and you're setting up a placemat with tiles that come from a community resource everyone can see, and you're placing them down on your board to try and get the most points. Different combinations of tiles will, in specific positions, will get you more points. If you have a mountain next to a mountain on your board, you'll get more points at the end of the game. Where I think this game is much better than Boss Monster at how it teaches the game. There's beginner levels like tutorials, and then you can start adding different parts of the game as you go. I still think the basic level of this game is pretty fun. But when you are familiar with it, you can start throwing in like particular characters that you're playing as, and they'll have different abilities. So it adds a bit of variety to the game, but you can play with or without. I don't think it's not like with Seven Wonders and the expansions where like once you've really gotten into playing it and then you've got to go back to the beginning, it's a hassle. And then you've got to try and like sort through 200 odd cards and pull them out of the deck.
Has it got the E on it for expansion? No.
No, yeah, they really thought of that when the box design and where like all of your assets go makes it so easy to set up the game, pack up, and change it around, which is really fun. I do think that the tiles, the assets in this game are Mickey Mouse. Absolutely, really nice if you're into aesthetics. I do think though, Boss Monster has a better box than this one. Yeah, Boss Monster and the expansions, they came in these boxes that looked like old Nintendo games.
The old cartridges. That was awesome.
Yeah, and a little like Game Boy cartridge for the expansion packs. This one's just a box. But hey, once you're not playing that, you're playing the game.
Yeah, but it looks so nice on the shelf.
Yeah. But games are for playing. They're not for like, showing off to your friends and going, look at all these things on my shelf.
Oh, mate.
Oh, I guess they can be.
Depends what shelf you've got.
Hey, if that matters to you, then go Boss Monster.
Yeah, I don't mind a subtle flex. Like, yeah, come on, I've got a couple of games. What about it?
Yeah.
So, Bronson, is the player interaction in this, is it just what you take denying other people?
Yeah, absolutely. So, pretty limited, but most of your player interaction is from that. The resources you're taking and trying to block other people, seeing what they're building. In your first couple of playthroughs, you're probably just going to be looking at your board, but once you get the hang of it, you start to see what other people are doing and how your choices might affect that.
So it's basically a town builder.
Yeah.
You're building your town, taking from the pool in the middle.
Yeah, a little bit like Azul in that way. Very much like Ardent. Verdant.
The green.
Yeah.
So we're building a wonderful living room.
Yeah.
So how long are you talking about? How long's a game-ish?
Well, what's cool is, let's see, there's 4x4, so there's 16 total moves to a game, and they're pretty quick. First playthrough's probably half an hour of playing and then maybe 5 minutes of scoring. It does get a little bit annoying at the end of the game when you're trying to tally that up. But once you get used to that, you're probably looking half an hour start to finish.
Wow.
Nice and quick, eh?
Yeah. Let's put that to the test, though.
How many players can sit around that table? I mean, Tony and I both had 7 with ours.
Well, actually, I didn't say with mine. Oh, yeah. 2 to 7, mate. 2 to 7.
You wouldn't want to play yours with 2.
No.
But you could play yours with 2.
Yes, you can play up to 5, but what's different with this game compared to the other ones we've spoken about, it has a single player mode.
Let's say it sounds like it'd be a good solo as well.
Yeah, and there's 2 types of single player games you can play. One's just the same as the competitive with more players. You're just trying to get a high score, but they do have a campaign mode where you have specific setups and goals to hit, which I think is pretty fun.
I love that artwork on the box though. Like, it does remind me so much of like that. NES
Yes.
anymore. Yeah, we've now gone to Game Boy Color. I'm looking at like Zelda on that box.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Overboss, the artistic design in Overboss and how it like evolves it really does reflect video games as well. So you've gone from the 8-bit cartridge on a CRTV. Now we've got some like nice rendering. There's still blocky, there's still pixels, but there's slightly less of them. It's pretty cool.
And there's more than 16 colours now.
Oh yeah, we're talking 32-bit board game.
Oh.
Wait, are you saying that they have tritones in their music now?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. And talking about setting up the vibe of the room when you're playing a game like this, get yourself best of Pokemon soundtrack. Yeah. Put the chiptune playlist on. It goes.
That sounds awesome.
Retro video gaming, it's great.
So that's Overwatch.
Alright, so today we've talked about 7 Marketers Architects.
Mysteria.
And Overboss.
There you go. So normally we talk about which of these 3 would you most want to play right now. But given these are all spiritual successors to games, I thought, what if we talked about which of the originals would you most want to play? Either 7 Wonders, we're saying Dixit,
We'll go
as
with
a-
Dixit, yeah.
and Boss Monster. Which of those 3 would you rather play?
Okay.
I mean, mine's not going to be so. I'd probably say Dixit. Personally.
Yeah. Are
I
we?
think I'd go Dixit too.
Yeah. I tell you what, if we're playing like in real life, Dixit for sure. Pack up's a breeze.
Yeah.
Throw the cards back in. Get
Yeah,
It's
I don't
pretty
want.
good.
I don't want to set up and back up 7 Wonders. If we're talking online, yeah, I could do a little cheeky 7 Wonders.
I've got to admit, if there's only 3 of us, then it's going to be 7 Wonders. If we've got more players, Dixit. 'Cause
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dixit
fair
at 3 is pretty meh.
Yeah, well, now you're changing the rules, aren't you?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But hey, I might pull out the old Boss Monster deck and have a look at the cards, and
That'd be cool. Yeah, bring it in.
It's been a long time since I
played.
played Boss Monster.
Yeah.
I never have.
yeah,
I've seen the box so many times, like, that looks awesome, and just never purchased it. Why haven't I done that?
Next game night, we've
Yeah.
got a
Oh yeah, we've got the
something to
lineup.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. Well, thanks for joining us on TBC,
Mhm.
and we look forward to being board with you next time.
Play Ticket to Ride. Blah, 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 blah. And that was like the second board game I bought. And I was like,
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be on the podcast, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
We can all dump on Ticket to Ride later.
Yeah.
I mean, it is purely the gateway game, and then you leave it on.
Hey, look, yeah.
Some
once-
people love it, let's maybe not touch
It's
it.